Now the Zohar in Parashat Balak, which is page 185b, at the end of the page, talks about the second type of Kaf Hakela. So far we talked about really just one of them. Second type of Kaf Hakela is that there's a heavenly bedin where the wicked are slung by the angel to the lower world of Gehinnom to receive the punishment in Gehinnom after Kaf Hakela. Meaning that a person goes to the first Kaf Hakela that we talked about. After they finish the sentence, they go back to the heavenly bedin. The heavenly bedin looks at the judgment. Okay, you served, let's say, 50 years, one for each time you cheated on your wife. Now, you have other sins. You violated this, you violated that, you violated that. That's not Kaf Hakela, that's Gehinnom. Okay, so how do we send them to Gehinnom? There's a process. What's the process? Kaf Hakela. Special angels slingshot this person from the heavenly bedin to Gehinnom, meaning a painful process of transfer. It's not like they go through an escalator. Where are you going, sir? Oh, I'm going to Gehinnom, chamber 3. No, it's the whole process is a painful process. And that process of going from the heavenly bedin to a bad place is itself another form of Kaf Hakela. Kaf Hakela number 3. In the book Ruchot Mesaprot by Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah, in page 6, there's a translation of the book, or at least part of it, in English. It's called Minchat Yehuda. Very, very scary book by Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah, one of the greatest Mekubalim in the last 150 years. The things that he did during his life, something out of this world. He, on a regular basis, talked to the other side of the world, the supernatural, helping some of them, most of them, but dealing with a lot of things and knowing a lot of things that literally you wouldn't even want to know in a nightmare. And part of the book was translated to English, and it's called Minchat Yehuda, and in Hebrew it's called Ruchot Mesaprot. Ruchot Mesaprot means spirits speak. Who do they speak to? Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah. Different spirits that are inside people, called dybbukim. What's a dybbuk? A dybbuk is when some spirit, some soul is in Kaf Hakela and succeeds in getting away from the Malachei Chabalah that are destroying it constantly and are looking for a place to stop getting a beating, because so long as they're traveling, they're getting a beating from these angels. So they constantly look to go somewhere. Many times they go into rocks and walls and different things, because so long as they're inside the rock or inside a plant or inside something, they don't get the same beating. That's why in the Torah there's a place where it says that there's rocks moving, or rocks screaming. What, you ever hear a rock scream? Rock screams is sometimes there's a neshama inside the rock, either reincarnated as that or someone from Kaf Hakela hiding inside the rock from the ministering angels. Now, and if as soon as he gets out, they're going to beat him up again. So they rather stay there, but they can't fix their tikkun, because so long as they're inside the rock, it's not they're not fulfilling their sentence. So which one is worse? Point being is that it's a nightmare of all nightmares, and the at times these ruchot get the permission to go into people. But they don't go into just anybody, they go into people that deserve it. There is a famous story where I believe it was Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah that actually helped this family, where a certain woman married a guy, and he was an avrech. And it was promised to him that they'll take care of her father will take care of the business, and he'll learn. And he learned. And after a few years, the wife got the Yetzirah, and she said, why don't you help out my father in the business? He's getting older. At least for part of the day, do the accounting. And the husband is a tzaddik. He agreed. But didn't realize that this was a mistake. And before you know it, within a couple of years, he stopped learning Torah altogether. Stopped learning Torah altogether. As soon as he stopped learning Torah altogether, one day, the wife goes crazy. Wife suddenly goes crazy, starts saying all types of strange things, acting in a strange way. And the Chachamim knew that there's something wrong here. It's not normal. And they asked the family, when did this happen? And they said, oh, when she went to the well to get water for the family, suddenly something happened and she went crazy. So they brought the Mekubal, I believe it was Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah, but it may be a different Mekubal. And Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah, who knew how to speak to these neshamot, because even the Arizal says that crazy people in general are people that have two souls in them. It's not like like people think. They have multiple souls that are fighting and so on. It's a big story. So now he speaks to this woman. He says, "Who gave you? Who are you?" It says it's some woman that was an orphan that made some sins in her life, but that's because she didn't get the right education. But she's serving her sentence in Kaf Hakela. He says, "Who gave you the right to go into this righteous woman? She's religious. She's a good woman." He says, "Who gave you the right?" He starts laughing. He says, "Why are you laughing? You're not ashamed of yourself?" She goes, "No. It's that I got begged to go into her." He said, "Who begged you to go into her?" He says, "Her grandfather and her husband's grandfather. Both came to me and begged me to enter her." He says, "Why?" He says, to convince her to tell her husband to go back to learning Torah full time. And because she's the reason why he stopped learning full time, I got the permission to go into her." So here we see that the soul sometimes go into people. It's not so common today, but it does exist. It's not so common today, not because it doesn't happen, but because it's not necessarily exposed as much as it used to be. Plus, there's not the same type of mekubalim that we used to have in the past that know how to deal with it. It's usually people that have strange situations like this are usually just put into a mental institution and just left there for the rest of their life. So now in Ruchot Mesaprot, Rabbi Yehuda Fatiyah says, talks about the third type of Kaf Hakela. And he says that after Chibut HaKever, after the beatings of the grave, the neshama goes to Kaf Hakela. For what? To be slung into the Bedin and then to Gehinnom. Meaning that there's not just a terminal to fling a person from the Bedin to Gehinnom, but there's also a flinging from the grave to the Bedin of Shamayim. That's another type of Kaf Hakela. Number 4, Sefer Charidim by Rabbi Eliezer Askari, which is about 500 years ago. He comments on the same Avot Rabbi Natan that we just read before. He says that the wicked neshamot get thrown out of Eretz Yisrael into the exile. Why? Because the land of Israel is holy itself. So all of the wicked people, Malachei Shabbat, Reshaim, that get buried in Israel, all of their neshamot get flung out of Israel. And therefore, burying, he says that burying the wicked people in Eretz Yisrael is a mistake. Like if somebody dies in the US and they go and they want to bury him in Israel, if he's a wicked person, it's a complete waste of time. Why? Rabbi Ephraim calls it bal tashchit, waste of money. Why waste of money? Because even though you're burying his body in Eretz Yisrael, his neshama gets flung out of Eretz Yisrael because he's a rasha anyway. That's the fourth type of Kaf Hakela. Number 5. Sefer Sha'arei Tshuva. Sefer Sha'arei Tshuva, there are translations to it in English from multiple publishers. I have this one, the Mermelstein edition, by Feldheim. There's one, I believe, by Art Scroll. Sha'arei Tshuva in gate number 2. Gate number 2, section 18, talks about Kaf Hakela. ודע כי נפש הרשע אשר כל תאווה לחפצי הגוף בחייו. Know that the soul of the wicked, a soul whose desire is only for the cravings of the body during its lifetime, ונפרדת תאווה מעבודת הבורא ונבדלת misharashea, that a desired divorce from a divine service, and thus the soul separated from its roots. תרד במותו למטה לארץ אל מקום תאוותה ותהי תולדתה כי טבע העפר לרדת ולא לעלות. That when he dies, this wicked person, since he chased all of his cravings, when he dies, he transcends to the earth, to the place of its desire, taking on the quality of dust, which descends and does not rise. Meaning that his type of Kaf Hakela is a never-ending crash. Nonetheless, אבל יעלו על המרום לדין ולמשפט ולראות איך החליף המרום בשאול כאשר יעלו את האבן על ידי כף הקלע. Now, even though it doesn't have any power of itself to lift itself out of this unending decline, nonetheless it is brought to the heavenly court. It's risen up there, more like it's flung up there, to be tried and judged. And that it may view how it exchanged heaven for Gehinnom. Meaning that this whole process, once they get up there, it shows that, look, what you did, and this is what you got, what you could have done, and what you could have had. And this is done how? כאשר יעלו את האבן על ידי כף הקלע. How do they fling it? It's, since this is like a stone that constantly falls and has no power of itself, because it has no kedusha. So it falls. Imagine, like literally, nightmare of all nightmares. Like these, some people have like these roller coasters where they drop a lot, but they only like it because eventually it stops dropping. So this thing just keeps dropping endlessly, but eventually it's flung all the way back up there. How? It's flung the way a stone ascends when thrown from a slingshot. Meaning that Rabbeinu Yonah gives us another type of Kaf Hakela. After the soul ascends to heaven, it will naturally fall back to earth, just like the stone plummets back to earth. When it's thrust, it's spent. Meaning eventually it gets up there, it shows his whole life, and it doesn't have the strength to stay in that heavenly bedin for long, because it doesn't have power of itself. So therefore what happens? It goes all the way, drops all the way back down, and crash lands the whole way, plummets back the whole way. And the source is the same source, the Sefer Shmuel, chapter 25, verse 29.